That's a quorum, 8. We have 8. And Mark is not going to come tonight. So we have a full panel here. So we will call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock.
Rose, am I taking minutes? Sorry, just.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we
Okay.
still don't have a board secretary.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
Rose Francola. I just want to apologize to all of you. I don't know how this happened, but the Zoom meeting information that was on the agenda was from July of 2020. And
Wow.
that's why I had to immediately send everybody a correction. So I apologize for that. And I also apologize for the fact that we had a mix up on our calendar for next year. For some reason, the June of 2022 numbers were incorrect. And we couldn't figure out why. I was getting a different number from Sally, who was getting a different number from Lisa. And so we finally figured out that the June number was incorrect. Somehow the June numbers were transcribed incorrectly. So I apologize. So that's why you have a late edition of our calendar that's dated on today's date. We finally figured it out this morning, and I apologize.
Okay, Frank, will you please record them? Oh, you did.
It's already recording.
Okay, great. So we'll move on to audience for staff and citizens. Anyone have anything? All right, we'll move on to correspondence to the board.
You have two correspondence, one of which I emailed, well, actually both I emailed to you. One is from our legal counsel about the vaccinations and accommodation for employees by employers. And it's a complicated set of circumstances. And I just wanted to make sure you were aware of our legal counsel's advice. But the second one is from Nicholas and Samantha Reiser. It's a letter to the Board of Education. You should have all received it.
Will you please read it?
Yes. To the Hampton Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Ola, this letter is to formally request that Weston Reiser, first grader, and Elias Reiser, preschool, be able to continue their school year in Hampton school system. Our family has recently transitioned to our new home outside of Hampton, and for continuity in their education, we would like to be able to keep them in their current class in school. We value the teachers they are currently working with tremendously and would greatly appreciate the opportunity for them to finish their year in their current classroom with their friends and peers. We understand that this is a unique year and are hoping for consistency for our young learners. We are thankful for everything the teachers in Hampton have done for our children and appreciate the stability they have provided for them this past year, especially under the stress of COVID. As parents, we are eager to create a learning environment that we feel is supportive to their emotional health, as well as their academic growth. At this time, we feel that Hampton Elementary offers this support and would appreciate your consideration in letting our children stay for the remainder of the school year. We would provide transportation both to and from school. Thank you for your time and your attention to our family and the well-being of our children in this matter. Nicholas and Samantha Reiser. They have supplied their telephone number and their email, and I believe, let me see,
They're
Mrs.
here.
Reiser is here, yes.
Okay, and there's no other correspondence to the board?
None others.
Okay, so I will ask the board, should we add this as an agenda item right now? So the risers don't have to sit through the whole meeting?
Can I make a motion to move additions to the agenda from item 13 to item 3A?
Do we have to move the whole additions to the agenda? Can't we just put this one in?
Okay. Yeah, I move that we consider the letter to the editor at this time.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Susan Lovegreen.
Thank you, Susan. Any discussion? Okay, I'll take the roll call for the vote. And I'll do it in my regular order here. Russ? Russ, did you hear the motion?
Unmute yourself, Russ.
You guys muted?
No, they're not, actually.
Huh.
Motion to have it, yeah, for the motion to have it, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
Yes.
Mary Ellen?
Yes,
Susan?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
And
One.
Juan, yep.
Yes, and we hate to lose the kids, and we wish them well on their new endeavors when they move. Thank you.
I agree.
Well, wait, all we did was add it to the agenda.
Okay,
We'll discuss it
Oh.
now, but I think I'm missing someone. One,
Ann?
2, 3, 4. Ann, oh, okay, Ann did text me and say she's having trouble with,
connecting.
yeah, connecting. Oh, she,
You want me to call her?
what, Ann, did you just send a message to forward you the link?
Yeah, if you could, but don't bother if we're on the phone, don't worry
Or
about
I'll ask Mary Ellen to do that though, okay?
it. Okay.
A- And I forgot to call you and we started the meeting already.
That's fine, go right ahead.
Okay, so what we did is we added the letter from Mr. and Mrs. Reiser requesting that their children be allowed to finish the year out at the elementary school. We added that as an agenda item and we're about to discuss it. Okay, so I would say that this is fine as long as it's understood we cannot do transportation. Does anyone think any differently?
I do
Oh,
not.
Mary Ellen, Ann's on the phone with me. Can you? I don't know what's going on. Does anyone think differently? Is there anyone who has a problem with this? It's pretty routine. Public schools tend to do this to finish out a year.
No, my thoughts, Susan Lovegreen, that as long as they're willing to provide transportation, I don't see an issue with it.
Okay, yeah, we won't be able to. That's my
Right.
only worry. If there's an emergency, we can't run our buses out of our district on an emergency basis, so I'm just gonna assume that's not gonna happen. Okay, so do we need a motion? I suspect we need a motion.
I have a question
Yes, Russ?
before the motion, please.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with the 3 months, but what if it was 6 months? I'd like to know what the formal activity is when it comes to that, as far as, I just need to know some kind of a background on this, because this is new to me. If it was 6 months, would we have the option of just saying by the board, yes or no, or how would that work?
Well, yeah, we would have the option.
The policy is very, very supportive of individual cases.
Can you hear that? Ann
Yeah.
said there's a policy on it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's.
point of order.
What's your point of order, Juan?
Well, Russ had the floor. And now we're having an interruption, and the question was never provided to Russ.
Okay, Ann is answering the question right now. That's why she's talking, to answer Russ's question.
Okay, well,
And she's saying that we have a policy about it, and the policy is very positive toward allowing this kind of request.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If it was 6 months, I think we'd have the option as well. We might want to think about, is 6 months long enough that it's worth disrupting a child to go to a new school? But I think it would be an option for us. Are there any other questions? We really should have a motion before we're discussing, though. So would anyone like to make the motion that we allow, I'm sorry, I forget the children's names, that the
Wes-
riser,
Ellis,
say those again?
Weston and Ellis.
Okay. So would someone like to make the motion that Weston and Ellis Riser be allowed to finish out the school year at Hampton Elementary School, provided the parents provide transportation?
So moved.
I'll move that.
Okay, Matthew
Matt-
moved, Mary Ellen seconded, and I will take the roll for the vote. Russ? Russ, are you do you agree with the motion? Yeah, I think you're muted. Okay.
Sorry.
Neil?
Yes.
Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Juan?
Yes.
And Ann?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries, so we're very excited that the boys will be finishing out their year here.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yep, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our next agenda item. Oh, great. Here it is. Approval of the 12/16/20 minutes and the 2/24/21 minutes. We can take those separately, I suspect. Do we have a motion for the 12/16/20 minutes? Hearing none, I'll move on and we'll approve the 2/24/21 minutes.
I'm just looking them over real quick.
Okay, well, could we have a motion and people could talk about them?
Anne we were still muted, but Anne just made the motion.
Oh, Ann made the motion. And do we have a second?
I'll second Susan Love Green.
Thank you, Susan. Ann and Susan. Okay. If there's something missing, I will just ask that people put in writing what's missing, because it was very sparse information to pull these minutes together.
Wait, was the motion for the 12/16 or for the 2/24?
Oh, I think it was for the 12/16. I threatened to move on.
No,
No, it was for the 2/24?
yes.
Okay, sorry, it was for the 2/24.
I didn't receive the 12/16 minutes.
Oh, good. We'll do them next time then. They came out today or yesterday,
Oh,
one or the other.
oh.
I-
Okay,
So I just want to say, Matthew, by law, we have to say who voted what way in any motion. So may I pull my notes together with yours and we'll figure that out?
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize. I didn't realize that. And not a problem going forward.
Yeah,
My note, I just was doing them via the video, so I probably would have to go back and rewatch it to find out who voted how,
okay, well,
as I
How
wasn't
about-
at the meeting in live.
yeah, I forgot about that. So how about if I'll look at my notes and we can talk and try to get that done. So maybe we shouldn't approve them until we have that information. What is the pleasure of the other board member?
Anne just withdrew her motion. I'm sorry if you can't hear her.
It really is hard, yeah. Okay, so Anne withdrew her motion, so let's do this next time. And we'll do the December 16 minutes next time too. In the meantime, though, were they sent to Shannon? Was a packet sent?
Yes.
So, so they were sent over to Shannon?
Yeah, they have to be.
Yes, they were.
Thank you. So I'm not going to worry about them not being posted. We just haven't approved them yet.
And the Zoom recordings are on the website also.
Well, that's not very helpful this one time, I'm afraid. But that does remind, well, never mind. Okay, so let's move on to superintendent's report.
Right. My report, I tried to give you a kind of a see through in terms of how I see our future. We've been doing a pretty good job in terms of getting through the COVID, and yet somehow our future views have been fogged a little bit by all kinds of complications with COVID. One of the reasons I sent to you the attorney's definitions of vaccines and how we have to treat the vaccines and the people who have or do not have vaccines, and how that complication is even more problematic when it comes to parents and parents concerned about, well, does my child have a teacher with or without a COVID vaccine? So all of those issues are being addressed, but they're being addressed slowly because there's no case law at all. And some of the issues are now being stopped because of, for example, the travel issue. We have this large travel season of April vacation, and yet March 19th, the emergency powers relative to the travel issue have been changed or eliminated for the governor. So anything that comes out of the state of Connecticut is now a recommendation. So as Beverly reported to you this morning, and I believe we forwarded all that information to you, many of the school systems have no clear guidance as to what can and cannot be done with people who travel out of state, out of country, with or without vaccines, whether they should be quarantined, how long they need to be quarantined, because there are different issues of 7, 10, 14 days. So that's why I felt this fog rolling in over us, because what we thought we knew has now been changed for various reasons. And for example, like we put aside 36 square feet for each child for distancing, social distancing. And now it's down to a very small 3x3 or 9 square feet is allowable. We're continuing, unless we have to by population change it, we're continuing with the 36 square feet or 6x6 square on each child. So it's becoming, what I thought would be easier has become more and more difficult. Although if you have any questions on the report itself or some of the concerns I voiced, please ask them now.
So
Right. I'm sorry, this is Juan. Frank, I would only ask or suggest that you proof your report, because there were 2 glaring mistakes on it.
I thought I had one, and I don't have a secretary, so when you do your own composing, it's sometimes very difficult to find.
Yes,
I
understand that.
Read it as I think I wrote it.
Yep.
So the errors are substantive in nature rather than just grammatical. Please let me know, and I will change them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, I thought that the governor, although he took away that you have to fill out the report, is still suggesting people quarantine if they go out of state and come back. Is that not the case?
It is the case. It is not mandatory. It is a suggestion. And so a parent could say, well, you know, we went out to Pennsylvania, so I'm sending my child in on Monday. I don't care. And we have nothing we can do about that. At this,
Well, we have the protocols that we follow.
that's right. And that's what we're reemphasizing. And Beverly and I and Sam have reemphasized the protocols, and we are sending that out twice, so that just before the vacation itself and in about a week, so that parents are duly notified.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments, Mary
Rose?
Ellen?
And
Oh, Anne?
Rose, and
It was just checking to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly. My understanding is that, and I think you conveyed this, Frank, in your report, the essence of the changes are not so much requiring that there be closer proximity between children, but that there's more flexibility, that these are guidance issues rather than mandates. So you're fully within your rights to continue to have more space between children.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
And we'll move on to the principal's report.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I do want to share a couple of things. One is, once again, our building is nicely decorated with a lot of rainbows and gold coins. That was a collaborative effort. The Donahues and some other community members, Andrea and Diane came into the school. The kids, as usual, love it. What was particularly funny this time for us was, and I didn't even realize this, but they haven't had, usually we had like 2 ice cream days, and they brought in Mrs. Danielson approved ice pops, and the kids were like so excited because they haven't had ice cream all year because of the restrictions with the lunch, moving the lunch into their classroom. So that was a real treat. We're right this week, we're in the middle of, we've never done this before, but a Haitian virtual assembly, and the teachers did a pre lessons with students and did a virtual teacher, artist in residence, they call it, teacher come in and review some things, and then tomorrow they'll be performing for the students, and then there's a follow-up where they're going to build a song. It's music and storytelling from Haiti. So that's where it was a little difficult to try to pull off, but it's working out really well. We're going into the SBAC time of year that everybody just loves, I know. The SBAC this year is they're framing it as a baseline because the students weren't required to take it last year, so there's a lapse. So they're encouraging staff to use that information and to help design how to move forward. And one other thing was that the teachers have been meeting to tighten up our math program. That's been going on for a while, so I probably have mentioned it before at our board meetings, but they continue to work on that because the students are together. So they're looking at the essential standards and tightening up the curriculum and making decisions about what material to use. And that's been pretty exciting.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to, thank you, Ms. Roberson.
Thank you so much.
We'll move on to Dr. Benson Clark for the special education report.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So
Hello.
here we are at our March meeting, and this is really always, especially for special ed, a very important meeting and update because we're finishing up and completing 1 year, really, have that mapped out, and then we're planning and preparing for the next year. So some of the things that are upcoming are that we transition our special ed students through meetings with Parish Hill or whichever school they go to for 7th grade. So we are scheduling those meetings. Those will occur in May. Then we also are planning for 2021, 2022. And we are planning for 8 additional students with special needs for that planning because of knowledge that we have. Also, Dr. Ola and Mrs. Roberson have really led efforts for planning a robust summer school 2021. So that is underway. Then we're also, I think I spoke about this before, we've spent a very lot of time and preparation in trying to return outplaced students back to Hampton Elementary School, because we have the philosophy and it's the law that we always start with what is called the least restrictive environment, or the home school for students, and see if we can provide the supports and services to help them to have a free, appropriate public education. Then just a few updates. Last Friday, March 19th, I attended an all-day special education legal training, which was given by a national expert. She was not from Connecticut, but it was sponsored by the state of Connecticut Case Group. So that's the director of special educators, administrators, excuse me. Tomorrow I will participate in an all-day site visit as part of the state of Connecticut Bureau of Special Education's team evaluation of state special education programs. So that's something that's just helpful. And I do that on my time. It's not on your time, but it allows us to have that lens of what is being looked at with audits and what is considered best practice at the state level. And then my typical work day in Hampton is Wednesday. So next Wednesday, March 31st, I will meet individually with paraprofessionals to really listen to them, how things have gone through the pandemic. They are experienced, and to hear their ideas and the kinds of training they might think they need, or trainings that they've gotten. And then just to discuss really the roles and expectations around continuous improvement. And I have, so right now we have these forms that were in place for evaluating the paras, but I also communicated with other directors in districts and got some other forms, and then there are guidelines that are on the state website for paraprofessionals. I will tell you, setting up the meetings, I think, caused a little bit of unease with some of the paraprofessionals. So when I saw it, I don't remember which day, I saw it maybe a Thursday or Friday, I immediately sent an email back to everyone assuring that it was just that we would be supportive. We want growth. We want what's best for our children, and that I'd be listening. And I received thank yous back. And then just today, it was kind of a long day in the building. I actually had 2 different paraprofessionals tell me they're looking forward to meeting with me next week. So I thought that was
Great.
good.
Great. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Benson Clark. Okay, we'll go on to our business coordinators report.
Yeah, I sent out 2 different reports. And what I really can say is we have many grant applications that are due within the next month. So we will be working at getting those finalized and getting those applications completed within the time frame required. Does anyone have questions?
No, I guess not. Thank you, Mrs.
Okay.
LaHoo.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll move on to discussion and possible approval concerning draft paraprofessional step scale effective July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, a 2% increase, board approved February 24th, 2021. I'm honestly not ready to do that myself. Have other people had a chance to look it over? How about if we put this off till next time? I don't hear any agreement or disagreement, so I'm going to take that as agreement.
Love it.
What? Okay. We'll move on to discussion and recommendations concerning the draft dated 3/15/21 for the 2021-2022 Hampton Elementary School budget. It's actually the Hampton School District budget because we have some children who don't attend Hampton Elementary School, but they're covered by our budget. To start discussion, I'm wondering, should we have a special meeting that we focus just on the budget that we could then plan to give some input for? Or do people not want to do that?
Rose,
Yes, Juan?
Juan Arriola, I think definitely we should have a special meeting just to discuss this budget.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing no other comment.
Wait, Ann, I had to unmute. Ann says something.
Okay,
Go
Ann?
ahead.
I would agree. I mean, my preference would be having a special meeting because there's been so much else going on that it's kind of hard to focus, you know, unless we did it just focused on that. That would be my preference.
Okay, so we're at 3 out of 9 and I haven't heard anyone disagreeing. So if it's all right, I'd like to pick a day to do that. Next week should be pretty good because it's the 5th week of the month, so there aren't many meetings. Would next Tuesday, the 30th, work for people?
What time?
I think the School Readiness Council might be meeting on that day.
Okay, how about then the 31st, which is a week from today?
All next week, so.
All
Neil.
next, okay. Is there anyone who cannot make Wednesday, the 31st at 7? All right, let's call the meeting for then. Dr. Ola, does that work for you?
I'll make it work.
Okay, thanks. Mrs. LaHoo, does it work for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So 7 o'clock, Wednesday, the 31st of March.
Rose,
Yes,
do we have any idea what the MBR is going to be by that meeting?
we haven't heard. We haven't heard about that at all, so I don't know.
Okay,
I
thank you
I
very
think
much.
we're safe to expect we won't, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to item 11. Discussion and possible approval of the draft dated for the 2022 school calendar.
All right, so
Okay.
that's the last email we got today, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Right.
Uh,
It came, all right.
So we
Okay.
have to look at the one on the email.
yes,
Okay, let me go to my email. Um,
It came out today, Rose, at around 10:43.
oh, thank you. That helps a lot, the
And
time.
it came from Lisa.
Oh, I'm looking for Frank. Okay, so let me look for Lisa. There it is. Thank you. That was good
Welcome.
information, Susan.
Pleasure.
Okay. So I have a question, I think. Are we still having all of the staff development days at the end of the school year, Frank?
have two at the beginning. One on November the 12th, which is this year or next year. This year it happens to be that Veterans Day is the 11th, which is a Thursday. And so the Friday was kind of hanging out there. So we made our professional development on Friday the 12th. And the last 2 days after the end of school on June 9th for students will be professional development for planning for the following year and curriculum.
Okay, I thought we tried that once before and people had trouble with having the staff development at the end of the year, and then they had the summer. Am I thinking of a different school district?
I think
Right.
that's every school district, quite frankly.
That
That
they-
says, yeah, I don't know
Every-
if this one, but,
So are you saying, Susan, that,
oh
Every
no,
s-
you just said, is that this school district? I was just saying, I don't know if it is or not, but I think that's like any school district when you say we have 3-4 days of PD at the end of the year, and then you leave for summer break. It was just a comment. I'm not saying anything other than that.
okay. Dr. Ola, that didn't come up here?
I don't recall it. Sam is probably
It-
a person to recall it.
It did come up. It did come up and but it was pre Dr. Ola
Oh, okay.
and I guess this is our first draft, so
I have a question.
Yes, Mary Ellen?
I have EastCon's calendar that Frank gave us, and I'm wondering if we ever do professional development at the same time with that staff, or is that, district-wide that they provide, or because it doesn't align with ours at all?
If I might, Francola, I would say that our school, our teachers, there's so few of our teachers. The idea that the EastCon would be able to have something that all of our teachers would be interested in is not a workable or viable idea. When you have, one art and one music and, that kind of situation. So what we're looking at is to have individual teachers take a professional development course if they need to, either through EastCon or online, And we're assuming most of them will be online again next year. That would emphasize what they need. And therefore, it would not necessarily line up with an EastCon presentation that would be specific to art or specific to math or whatever. So we felt that it would be better if we did the beginning of the year to make sure that everybody is on the same page, mid-year so that we can reflect in terms of how we're doing, and if there were specific trainings or input that we needed to have, that is not an EastCon day. And at the end of the year to create a reflective response, and then goal setting for the following year in terms of curriculum and materials. And then the following year, obviously back in August of 2022, know what it is we need to be able to supply people in order for them to be proficient in their curriculum needs. So because we're so small, that it seems to us more logical to offer individual faculty opportunities to meet their specific need rather than a generalized need that EastCon is providing. That's the rationale for that.
Okay, thank you.
And the other,
I-
reality
Am
is
I,
EastCon has 180 days. We are at 183 days. So in order for us not to go too far into June, we felt better to use those days and then put the faculty use towards the end of the month of June rather than students. Because obviously you could put the faculty in the library, which you can't put all the students in the library, and that's air conditioned. So it was just a practical kind of interpretation of the calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
Does any,
there's one thing I just thought I was going crazy. August 31st, you have on a Monday, and then the 1st of September on a Wednesday. So what I just found is August 29th is missing on this calendar.
See, that
So the 31st is actually, huh?
was what the problem was. We were doing it in June. I never noticed that. That was, I don't know how this program created the numbering. We were always down one day, and I couldn't figure out why. But now you just did.
great.
Okay.
So I would suggest, I hate to suggest we hold that off unless you want me just to fix that August date and then approve the calendar, but I would assume you would rather wait until next month to get the actual calendar, because this really relates to parents and public comment. You want to make
Yeah,
sure.
and I'm just going to point out, Frank, this is Matt Flegger. If that might bump the last day ahead a little bit, and that'll be different from Parish Hill and other schools.
Exactly. So I think it would be, well, you know, I thought I was losing my mind yesterday and the day before, trying to figure out why this calendar just didn't work. Thank you for that. I don't know how this happened.
You're welcome. That's okay.
How is it gonna bump the first day, Matthew? Yeah, how is it gonna bump the other?
Not the first day, but it might bump the last day if we have to add, if there's a missing day in there.
Yeah, but they left Tuesday after the 31st as a nothing.
Oh, well, if it's the same last day, then. Forget
Yeah.
what I said.
Okay.
No, that adds a day in August, Rose, unless you make it a professional development day. If you left it there, if you put it in the right way, you have the 25th, 6th, 7th, then the weekend, and then Monday and Tuesday, bumps it up one day of school, unless one of those days is a PD day.
So you think that? Okay.
Let's just fix it and we'll do it next month, if that's all right.
Okay, all right, let's do that. In the meantime, though, if anyone else has something they want to say that might cause a change, we probably should do that too.
Oh,
Anyone else have anything to say about the calendar? Okay, then we will look forward to seeing the corrected copy. Item 12, discussion and possible approval of the draft job description for the coordinator of scientific research-based interventions, computer education and distance learning. So that came in the packets.
Yes.
Great. Did people get a chance to look at it? I should say instead of that, does anyone have any comments they'd like to make about it? Oh. There's a lot of job descriptions that are in our packet.
Yeah,
The last one.
did you want to comment as to why all 3 job descriptions are there?
Sure. I need to comment, are you saying?
Mary Ellen, I asked.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, the top of the job description for this job that is an action item, relates to the general ed or the regular education teacher. So they not only have to, that person not only has to fill the job description for SRBI, computer ed and distance learning, they have to fulfill the job description for all general ed teachers. The special ed one is not part of it, but I just wanted people to be able to see it's got the same language at the top of it that says the special ed teacher has to do their job plus all the general ed job too.
okay, thank you.
So we're only voting on SRBI, computer ed, and distance learning, which
Okay,
is
great.
one.
Does anyone have any comments on them? I should ask for a motion first. Mary Ellen, will you make a motion to approve the job description?
Okay, I move that we approve the job description for the coordinator of scientific research-based interventions, computer education, and distance learning.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Neil Moon seconded. All right, any discussion?
Rose, I have a question.
Yes, Juan.
On number 10 for the SRBI, why are we naming success maker instead of just saying coordinates data? Are we like, or is success maker, what's that?
Who would like
Do
to
you want me
answer?
to address- I can address that. We originally, Juan didn't put that in there. Dr. Ola suggested it. And when I went back and looked at it, originally I said, we don't usually name specific programs.
Yeah.
But when I looked at it, this job description is going to have to be changed relatively soon after the State Department of Education decides whether or not distance learning is going to be mandatory to be offered, or remote learning is going to be mandatory to be offered to any parent and child in the school that wants it. So this may be up for review. I mean, as a board, we could also, go ahead and offer that, whether or not the state says it's mandatory. But this job description is going to have to be reviewed relatively soon.
Yes, can I?
And right now we are using, he is specifically using Success Maker and the NWEA.
And Mary Ellen, can I make a comment?
Yeah, go. You're on. You're on.
Ann
speaker.
Gruenberg is on.
And I just want to clarify that this position that we're voting on, a position description for a position it's already been filled. I mean,
Yes.
there's somebody filling that role, correct?
Correct.
Our new faculty person.
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to be explicit about that. We're not, right, we're not approving something that will be for the future, but not the present. It's like a current position. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments?
One more comment. This is Juan.
Yes,
Either we need to add an infinitive or put it into third person where the verbs are. Because it doesn't say to work with classroom teachers. It doesn't say to oversee, doesn't say to advise. It's either advises, oversees, implement. That's all I suggest.
we'll have to change all of our job descriptions if we do that, because this is fitting the format.
Well, then let's just add the infinitive.
Again, it would have to be to all of our job descriptions.
When it says the scope, it starts off with 2, but then all the other ones are dropped off, and I don't think it would. The job descriptions would change basically. And you have on one, you have is responsible, and then the next one says assist and plans and guides and initiates, and then at the bottom we drop all the third person. We go to work, oversee, and I know it's just minor details, but I'd like to all of it at least fall in line. Either we use one format or we use another format, but at least they align. Thank you.
To the duties and responsibilities of teacher goes. Well, I think that the sentence that comes under duties and responsibilities, in addition to the duties and responsibilities of teacher, those of the coordinator, SRBI, computer education and distance learning include the following: to work, I guess that would work. Okay. I had to say it out loud. It didn't sound right in my head. Mary Ellen, do you have a comment about this? Should we go back to the committee? What do you want to do?
Well, the other job descriptions were passed, I think, in 2018, was it? So no, I don't want to, I personally don't want to go back and revise those very long meetings with multiple people. This was like a whole summer's work.
Well, I
with
think
the
we would just have to make this minor change. I don't think it would even take a committee meeting.
To do all 3 or to do this one?
Either way,
Francola,
yes.
I think we're kind of picking at the weeds here. We understand exactly what it means.
Okay.
Juan Arriola, that's fine if we're picking at the weeds, but if we're going to be a professional group, or if we're going to be academically correct, then we should correct it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll respond to that. I don't think it's academically incorrect. We had a superintendent, Rose, myself, Ann Gruenberg. It may have even, there was somebody else. It may have been, it was Catherine Wade, I believe, et cetera. And we spent a whole summer on it. It was really wordsmithed from several documents. Somebody else wants to do it, I'm fine with it, but I'm quite done with those job descriptions. I just felt that Mr. Gervais deserved one that reflects his work if we're going to evaluate him during this current school year, because he does not follow just the general ed job description, and he's not part of the special ed job description. So this is for purposes of him being reviewed by his administrators, and I think it's okay. I'm sort of done with it.
So I have a comment. Can I make a comment?
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
I was
Hear me?
muted. I was muted. I was saying, yes, Ann.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yes, having participated in the process some time ago, I would suggest that we move ahead with this with the understanding that we can make some tweaking and wordsmithing and revision next year, especially after we've done it. There's a compelling reason that Mary Ellen just shared for us to move ahead with this. And we don't want to get so caught up in the details that we lose the essence of why we're doing this in the first place. So that would be my suggestion, that we move ahead with the understanding that having applied it for a year will give us useful information for, some little revisions next year.
I'd like to call the question.
All right, I was going to suggest that we can have the vote and people with their votes will let us know. Do we need to vote on calling the question or can we just vote on? We'll just,
We're going to vote now, yeah.
yeah, let's go ahead and take the vote. So the motion is to approve the job description for the SRBI Computer Education and Distance Learning position. I will do the roll call. Russ?
Yes.
Russ said yes.
Yes.
Neil? Mary Ellen?
Yes,
Susan?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Juan?
Abstain.
And Ann?
Yes.
The motion carries. And we will go on to committee and liaison representatives, reports, and recommendations. Communications?
It's not like we're correcting nothing. If anyone wants to take over as chair, feel free.
Okay. Feel free. The Hampton Scotland Joint Committee. I don't think we met, did we?
No.
No, we reported on that last time. We're meeting April 8th, I believe.
Yes.
Actually, we met the next day, as I recall. The next meeting is April 8th. Finance and Operations. Mark isn't here. And so I think we'll wait and let him report next time. How about policies?
Policies we've been exploring options. I think it would be helpful for us to stay in the loop in terms of staffing, because whatever we do it's affected by the potential for staffing, but we're kind of in transition right now. And the policy highlights continue to come from Kate. But I think we're hopefully going to convene before too long to just keep up with all the changes and make some recommendations to the board.
Okay, when you talk about staffing, you mean a board secretary?
Yes, well, whoever is in that role. I mean, I don't presume to know what the official role of the person will be, what other functions and responsibilities that person might have. It might be somebody very part-time. It might be somebody full-time who's extending duties to include policy. We had a pretty stable situation for a number of years, and now we're kind of in transition, but we have a requirement to continue to update our policies, which we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Okay, the ad hoc job description subcommittee made the presentation of the job description, so that committee won't be meeting anymore. And our report is really the job description. The ad hoc committee on the superintendent's evaluation, we're having trouble getting a date where we all can meet, so we're going to keep trying to do that. And hopefully we'll be done with this by the next meeting. On to CABE.
Yes, actually, I participated in a webinar today. CABE, I think I've reported before that CABE has transformed its function in many ways to try to get the professional development out there. So today's webinar was on re-engaging families and students after the pandemic, or, as we wrap up the pandemic. Don't put that in the minutes as I said it, because that was very clumsy grammatically, what I just said. But information about ongoing webinars is relevant. The other thing that's relevant is that if people are interested in attending the National School Boards Association conference virtually, it will be in April and registration is online. We're members of the CABE Express, which means that there are many professional development activities that we can attend free of charge, including the Day on the Hill, which was a success. And I think, Mary Ellen, you were there.
No, I didn't do it.
Rose.
No,
Nope.
no.
Okay, well, I don't know if anybody else from Hampton was there virtually, but I participated and found it kind of inspiring that there's a possible transformation of the way in which material is covered. But the legislators were actively involved in broadcast using Zoom or whatever program they were using. I think it was Go Meeting or something, GoToMeeting, whatever they're calling it. Sorry.
Thank you, Ann.
That's it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about EastCon, Mary Ellen?
We had a board meeting last night and there was a lot that happened. Diane Dugas, who works with Hampton, she's the head of Leading and Learning. She reported that there's a minority teacher recruitment fair being planned, which is interesting. Evidently, superintendents in our region have expressed interest in having EastCon serve as a remote learning hub. And they have suggested that EastCon somehow become an entity to offer remote learning to students using software such as Virtual High School. And they want us to be able to, EastCon to be able to serve students in a virtual environment. Diane emphasized that there's a difference between an elementary school and there's also differences that some school districts are very large and some are small. So, there's lots of different needs. So they're sending out a survey to superintendents to see what can be done collectively. Okay, and then there is a cadre of retired superintendents assisting superintendents to complete forms required for the extra funding that's coming out because of COVID. They're being trained by the State Department of Education in the do's and don'ts of how to use the extra funding. Let's see. The State Department and the governor's office has asked for help from the RESCs to find students who are not attending school. Evidently, many students who chose remote learning have not actually shown up. So there's quite a bit of money out there. And the funding will go through the summer and into next year. And they're going to do strategies like people actually going out and knocking on the doors of the students who are signed up for school, but who are not attending. That's it.
Can I add something to my report?
Can you hear Ann?
I can, but
Yeah, can I add on what you
could
just
you,
said? In the other organizations I'm involved with too, there's a huge push to engage students over the summer. Sort of building on what you just said, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, there's a lot of money for summer school out there.
Yeah.
Preschool, pre-K, and all the way through high school.
Right.
great,
Thank you. That's it.
okay. Thank you, Mary Ellen.
Yep.
We can move on to additions to the agenda. I have one. We need to appoint our representative to the EastCon board because it needs to be done by April 1st. So we need to add that to the agenda. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Hearing nothing then,
Rose,
yes,
I do have something that I wanted to say before we close.
okay,
We tabled the para pay for 21-22 in today's meeting. But if we're gonna have a special budget meeting to talk about next year's budget, could you please add that to that special budget meeting? Because it's gonna impact the budget. Voting on the para pay.
we already voted to give everyone a 2% raise.
Okay.
That's passed.
forgot
This was, okay, okay.
So do you want nominations for our representative to EastCon?
No, I want a motion to add that to the agenda.
Add what to the agenda? The EastCon?
The appointment of
I'll make
our
that
East. Okay, so Ann
I'll
Grunberg has moved to add the appointment of our EastCon board representative to our budget. Do we have a second?
Friendly amendment, designee and alternate to the EastCon board.
Yes, okay. And it was adding that to the agenda, not to the budget.
Right.
Oh, did I say budget? I'm sorry.
I think so. I'm not even sure what I heard. Don't worry.
Okay, so we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Oh, I've got to take the roll. I'm sorry. And, okay, Russ,
Yes.
Neil,
yes,
Mary Ellen,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Juan,
Affirmative.
Ann,
Yes.
thank you. We will add that as 13A.
So I
So-
move that we, Mary Ellen.
Did you check with Mary Ellen and make sure she wants it?
Mary Ellen, do you want it?
I'll say yes, because I think that it's important to retain a seat on the executive board, which is a 12-member board. And if I don't continue, I'm not sure if we retain a seat.
Okay,
So given that. And I guess I'll nominate, or I don't know if you appoint Rose or if we nominate, but Anne has been our alternate, and I didn't ask her if she wants to continue.
I'm willing to continue.
Well, since we had a motion, we might as well vote. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none. This is East Con. Russ?
Oh, there hasn't been any motion of any sort.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what am I gonna,
Oh, there wasn't a motion. I thought we had a
There's a
motion.
motion to add the appointment onto the agenda, but the only thing that happened was that Ann suggested Mary Ellen and Mary Ellen suggested Ann.
Oh, I thought when Ann suggested Mary Ellen, she did it in a motion. I'm sorry.
Rose,
Yes, Juan?
Juan Arriola, since there's no opponents, you can do it by acclamation.
Oh, would you like to just do this by acclamation?
Yes,
Okay. So don't call the roll, just assume that everybody agrees?
no, just one person votes and they say yes.
Okay, Juan, would you like to vote? Would you like to be the voter,
Yes,
Juan?
I would like to be the voter. Yes.
And Juan said yes, so congratulations, Mary Ellen and Ann. Thank
Sorry,
you.
Juan,
Thanks,
can
Juan.
you just say what that's called again? Was it a
Acclamation.
vote
Acclamation.
by acclamation? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now on to audience for citizens and staff. Do we have anyone who would like to say anything?
Rose, Juan Arriola again. I would just like to thank Mrs. Melton and her class, Team C, for their continued correspondences with me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Hearing none. I'll accept a motion to adjourn. I'll make it at this point if I have to.
Second, Juan.
Okay, Rose moved, Juan seconded to adjourn. I guess we better, oh, Juan, would you like to do this by acclamation too?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, Juan is voting by acclamation. And the answer is yes, and we will adjourn at 8:13. Good night, everyone. and
Thank
we'll-
you. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
And